Intermittent fasting has become very popular in the mainstream media, and I'm glad because I believe intermittent fasting is a very, very powerful tool that you can use to improve your health. But what does the science say? Is there any scientific research backing up this intermittent fasting trend or fad? That's what this video is going to help you understand. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician with 20 years of clinical practice. And I've been using intermittent fasting for over 5 years now with great benefits and results. But it's because I actually looked into the research and said, oh, this makes sense. There's studies to back this up. And I'm going to talk to you about that research today. Fasting is an ancient practice, but the fasting we're going to talk about today is intermittent fasting. And so some people will do this for 14 hours a day, or 16 hours, or 18 hours. Some people even 20 or 22 hours a day, and they make it part of their daily routine. And so you don't eat for 8 hours while you're asleep anyway. Why not tack on 2 hours before you go to bed and 2 hours after you wake up? Now you're doing a 12-hour fast. That's not that difficult. Millions of people are starting to do this, and it's good that they are because there's definitely research that supports this practice. There was a review article posted in a journal called Nutrition Reviews back in 2014, but I think the science is always going to be relevant to us since we're always going to be human beings. And so I want to go through what this review article found. They actually found multiple studies in other mammals besides humans that showed these benefits, but there are 11 studies in human beings, which are the most important studies, I think, since we're all hopefully human beings, that show these benefits. And I'm going to list these benefits below so that you can see everything that intermittent fasting can do for you. Now, do I think that this is it? Do I think this is all intermittent fasting can do? Absolutely not. I think intermittent fasting benefits the human organism in hundreds of ways, many of which we haven't even discovered yet. But let me tell you a list of the benefits that medical and nutritional research have discovered so far. This review article found in all the studies that were done on human beings that body weight decreased most of the time. That's a good thing. If you've got extra fat you'd like to burn off, intermittent fasting is going to help you do that. Almost uniformly, everyone in the fasting arm of the 11 studies lowered their triglycerides. Now, that's super important. Having high triglycerides is a risk factor for heart attack and stroke. It's one of the markers we use to figure out whether you have metabolic syndrome or not. Almost every single participant in the fasting arm of the studies lowered their blood sugar back to closer to normal. Now, don't mistakenly understand that if you don't eat, your blood sugar will just keep going down to zero. That's not how the human body works. Your body has been practicing fasting for hundreds of thousands of years in the form of your ancestors. The human body knows very well what to do with fasting. And when you do an intermittent fast each day, you're going to move your elevated blood sugar back towards normal. Now, we would expect that if you've lowered your blood sugar, that's also going to allow your insulin level to return back from its currently elevated state back down to a low normal condition. And indeed, that's exactly what the research shows in all of the animal studies and in all of the human studies. Insulin levels moved back down towards normal. Another very important change that's been documented in these studies is that your levels of interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha return closer to normal. Now, both of these are proteins that the body uses in inflammation. And so if you have an acute infection or an acute injury, you need these interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. You need those to help you heal from that infection or inflammation. But when the levels of these are chronically high, they can lead to all kinds of inappropriate chronic inflammatory problems. Fasting moves both of them back down towards normal. All of the human studies show an increase in insulin sensitivity. So when you're fasting, you're not eating a lot of sugar, carbohydrates. Therefore, your insulin stays down. And this gives your cell membranes on all the cells in your body, your muscle cells and other places that normally would suck the glucose out of your bloodstream. It gives these cells a chance to re-upregulate the insulin receptor on their cell membrane. And so it actually allows you to become more insulin sensitive when you do a daily intermittent fast. And that's a very, very good thing. The last benefit that we've proven so far with this research is that a daily intermittent fast is going to raise your HDL cholesterol. Now, many people call this the good cholesterol. And I know what they mean by that, but I consider all forms of cholesterol good. But there's no doubt that fasting is going to raise your HDL levels of cholesterol, which is a very, very healthful thing. I put a link to this research down in the show notes so that if you have a doctor or a dietitian who's yelling at you for trying this silly fad of intermittent fasting, you can maybe even print that out and take them a copy. First of all, so they'll shut up yelling at you. But secondly, you might teach them something and then they might be able to help all of their other hundreds of patients to learn the benefits of fasting that you already know. I put out at least 3 new videos every week on YouTube. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the subscribe button and the bell button right beside it so that you'll get a notification every time I have a bright idea. If you'd like to help me fight all the misinformation that's put out in the mainstream media by the big food manufacturers and the big pharma corporations, consider becoming a patron. It's a quick sign up at my patreon.com site. You can throw $1 or $2 my way so that I have more time and resources to make videos just like this. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.